Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys.
Hey guys!
All right, lesson 15 is all about solving systems of equations. Now, a system of equations just means that there are two equations that we'll be graphing, and those two equations have two variables, like an x and a y. The solution that we're looking for is just the point where the two lines intersect, or where they cross. Now, looking at this little table down here, there are different possibilities for how many solutions we have. So if your two lines are parallel, meaning they never intersect or they never cross, then you will have 0 solutions because they don't cross. If you have two lines that do cross, you have 1 solution. And sometimes it's possible that we may be graphing the same line kind of like right on top of itself. So in that case, technically, all the points on that line are solutions. So we call that infinitely many solutions. Okay.
Okay, so the next example, if you notice, there are going to be 2 lines here. Okay? First thing we want to make sure is, are they in y equals mx plus b form? The answer to that, Miss Barley, is?
Yes, they both start with y equals.
Yep. Y is by itself. That's pretty much what we want. Remember the first lesson that we did, remember I said it's like a game, get y by itself. All right, so we want to make sure that we include tables for this. So I'm going to put my table here, and if you notice, I'm color coding this just so you guys know what line I'm talking about. Now, we're going to put these in together, all right? So we're going to go to y equals. We're going to put the first one in, 2x minus 3, whoops. And then I'm going to take this button right here and I'm going to go down, all right? And then I'm going to put the next one in, x minus 1. All right, so if I look at the graph, I'm going to look at the graph real quick. This is what it looks like. And you notice they intersect right here. We're going to be able to find that point of intersection on my table. What you're looking for is, when are the y's the same? When are they going to match? So I'm going to pull this out real quick, blow this up super duper big. All right, so are these the same? No. Are these the same? No. But if you notice these ones right here, they both have a 1. That tells me that's where the point of intersection is going to be. So therefore, I know that this has to be a point on my graph. So the rule is, then pick 2 points above that and 2 points below. So I know we were used to going -2 to 2, but for this one, we're actually going to start at 0. So I'm going to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then copy down those numbers right here. So that's going to be a -3, -1, 1, 3, and a 5.
Okay, so just to be clear, okay, what is this table showing us? I just want to make sure that we all understand. This table is showing us the x and y values for both lines. So you're going to use the first y table for the points for the first line, and then you're going to use the same x's and then the y2's for the second line, okay? So the points that we want to graph, we're going to use the same x values for the red line, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but now we're going to use all of these y values. Okay, so copy those down, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right, so now I want you guys from this point to pause the video and take a minute to graph both of these lines on your paper. All right, so again, check to make sure that your lines are all going in the same direction as mine. Make sure that you're using that straight edge of your calculator to draw nice, sharp lines. Make sure that you have arrows on the ends, both ends of your lines, and make sure that you are labeling your lines with the original equations. Okay, so now for the most important part, we want to figure out what is the solution to this system. So as we said before, the solution is the point where both lines intersect. So we can definitely look at our graph and figure this out. They cross right here at this point. What are the coordinates of that point? 2, 1, because remember, the x comes first and then the y. Another way we can find the solution is by looking at our tables. We talked about this before. The solution is right here where both y values are the same. When you copy them down onto your papers, if you notice, the point 2, 1 is on both tables. So that is the solution. All right, let's go ahead and get started with example number 2. Same thing, we want to make sure to include the tables to help us with our system. So, first things first, taking it back to lesson 13. We need to look at the equations of our lines. Are they written in slope-intercept form? Do they start with y equals? Okay, the answer here is no. So, the first thing that we want to do is subtract x from both sides here. That will leave us with a negative y is equal to negative x plus 3. So remember, we want to get the y all by itself. So here, we pretend like there's a little negative 1 right there. So to get rid of that, we're going to go through and divide everything here by negative 1. So we'll get y equals, now be careful here, negative 1x divided by negative 1 leaves us with a positive x. Positive 3 divided by negative 1 is a negative 3. So this is the line that we will type into our calculators. Okay? Before we do that, let's go on and solve for y on the next one. The first thing that we want to do is subtract 2x from both sides. That will leave us with, again, that negative y equals negative 2x plus 5. Again, remember there's like a little negative 1 in front of that y, so that's what we divide by, negative 1. Leaving us with y equals, now be careful here, negative 2 divided by negative 1 is a positive 2x. And positive 5 divided by negative 1 is a negative 5. All right, so again, we are going to be typing both of these equations into our calculators and copying down the table. So here we go. On your calculator, you're going to go back to the y equals button. Now we have some things in here already. We want to delete them out, so just hit the clear button, scroll down and hit clear. Okay, go back up to y1 and type that in. X minus 3. Then jump down to y2 and you type in 2x minus 5. Now we can take a look at the graph to see what it's supposed to look like. All right, we can see how many solutions are. There's one solution. It looks like it's right about there. So let's copy down our tables and figure out what that point is. So remember, to get to the tables, you hit the blue button, second, and then graph. And there's our table. Okay, so while we're looking at this table, we want to find the point where the solution is. So we are kind of looking in here at these y values. We want to figure out where they are the same. So I'm just going to pull this screen onto my paper for a second just to kind of clean things up a little bit. And I want to see, okay, looking at these two y values, do they match? No. Looking at the next pair, do they match? No. Looking at the next pair, do the y values match? Yes, they do. So this must be where our solution point is. So on our tables, we want to start right in this row and we want to graph 2 points above and 2 points below that. So we are going to start our tables from 0 and go down to 4. All right, I am going to have you guys pause the video, copy down your tables, and plot your lines. And we will check back in with you guys in just a moment, okay? Really take the time to do this out, all right? And just remember, when you are graphing the first line, the blue line, you want to graph these X's and the Y1s together. Those go on the same table. And then for the red line, you want to graph the same X's and the Y2s over here. So be careful when you copy down your tables. All right, so check to make sure that your lines look the same as mine. And remember to always put arrows on the ends. And please make sure that you are labeling your lines with the original equation. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up here. All right, so now to make sure that we are answering the question, we need to figure out what is the solution here. So again, it's very easy to look at our graph and see the point where the two lines cross. We need to figure out what are the coordinates of that point. So again, if you're looking on your calculator, you want to find the points where the y's are the same, okay? Look, if you notice, this point 2 and -1 is on both of your tables. So the solution is the point 2, -1. All right, so I'm really hoping that you guys are understanding this. This is a very easy way to earn points on your test and Regents exam. It's just graphing two lines. All right, let's take a look at example number 3. So looking at these lines, first thing we want to do is make sure that they are written in the correct form, y equals mx plus b. So looking at the first line, we'll just call this one our blue one. Yep, it's already solved for y, so we're good. Looking at the red line, as we'll call it, no, it's not solved for y. So we have to go through and solve it. To start by subtracting 3 from both sides, and we get y equals 4x minus 3. Okay, again, you're going to type both of these into your calculators. Make sure you're looking for the solution on the table. You're going to copy down the x and y tables and graph your lines. Pause the video right here. Really take the time to practice it now, and I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so check to make sure that your tables are correct. Your lines look like mine. For this example, if you notice, there are some points on this table that we won't be able to graph. For example, the point -3 and -15 or -211. We can't plot those on the graph because our graph just isn't big enough. But if you just focus on the points that you can graph, then you should be fine. You should have enough points to draw a line. Now, looking to find out what the solution is. Again, we can look at the graph to see this point right here is -1, -7. Or we can look at our calculator, find where the y's are the same, and that will be our solution point. Or we can look at the table that we copied down and see which point is on both tables. Okay, a lot of different options here. So make sure that you guys are taking your time, putting arrows, labeling everything correctly. I know it can be a lot, but if you work hard, you can get it. All right, find your classwork and good luck.